What is going on, guys? How y'all doing today? Rangovidsmango12 here, and welcome back to Ultimate Spider-Man issue 15. We just finished reviewing issue 14, and if you guys are only just joining us, we are reviewing every single Ultimate Spider-Man comic from issue 1 all the way up to issue 133 and beyond. So that's quite an adventure, but we're going to do it, so let's go for it. So as we saw in the previous issue, Dr. Octopus was introduced into the Ultimate Universe. We also got a first look at Gwen Stacy. She seems a little bit like a badass chick, so we're going to see that develop a little bit more in this issue. So without further ado, guys, let's get into it. So the issue begins with this woman exercising in a room, and I have to admit it does kind of look like Gwen Stacy, but it is not, guys, so don't get that mistake mixed up. But she's actually on the phone to one of her friends, you know, like just talking, having some girly talks and all that, talking about guys going on dates and stuff like that. And as you can see, there's a massive crash downstairs, and we get this shadow of a tentacle coming up the stairs, and it's actually Dr. Octopus's tentacles coming towards this woman, and that is when it cuts away from the comic and goes back over to Kong in Peter's school. So as you can see, Dr. Octopus is pretty much on a rampage right there. And we're not sure what happened to that woman, but I assume that she's dead. Don't know why he was there, but maybe that was like his old house or something. I don't know. Kong straight up goes over to Flash and pretty much just blurts out instantly, Peter Parker is Spider-Man, because if you remember at the end of the previous issue, Kong put 2 and 2 together and realised that Peter Parker was in fact Spider-Man. Now he's trying to tell everyone this, he's trying to like make them understand what's going on and everything like that. And I think the humour from Flash is just absolutely brilliant. I mean, he's talking about how he got bit by a bee, well, stung by a bee, and now he's not Bee-Man and stuff like that. And I thought that was hilarious. Something I should also mention is that Flash also says that Spider-Man is 6 feet tall, so Peter surely can't be Spider-Man because he's a little bit smaller. Well, I think the answer to that is the fact that Peter kind of holds himself tall. You know, like he stands straight, he stands powerful when he's Spider-Man, but when he's Peter Parker, he's got to kind of blend in, he's got to make himself seem like the nerd, he's got to stand how he usually would stand when he's just a normal human, and that is like slouching a little bit and stuff like that. But when he's Spider-Man, he just has to stand straight and powerful, and it's awesome. Now Kong goes over to Peter to prove to everyone that he's in fact Spider-Man, so he goes up to kick him, and Peter's spider sense does actually kick in, but Peter can't move, he can't dodge it, because he's got to retain his secret identity, and he actually turns around crying his eyes out, and that is when Gwen Stacy walks up to Kong with a knife, and actually pulls a knife on Kong. And that's a pretty serious thing to happen in a school. You know, like if a student brings in like some kind of knife or sharp object, that's some pretty serious stuff right there. And just as she's right there with Kong doing that, a teacher actually walks up and confiscates the knife, and of course takes Gwen Stacy away and reports her to her parents, which is of course Captain George Stacy, which we get to see in a minute. Now guys, you know the Gwen Stacy that are in the Miles Morales comics? It is the exact same Gwen Stacy, but of course her character develops over time. So this is what Gwen Stacy was like at first in the Ultimate Universe. She was a bit reckless, she was a bit more of a badass chick, she kind of stood up for what was right, she didn't really take orders from anyone. But of course in the Miles Morales comics, she just seems like a normal girl, she seems like she's lived a life a bit, she understands a bit more, she's a bit more afraid of the world. So of course her characteristics and her behaviour towards everyone in the Miles Morales comics are a lot different because it's like 2 years into the future. So I suppose in the Miles Morales comics, she's pretty much grown up a bit compared to how she is now. Now, of course, as you can see right here, Captain George Stacy has just heard about Gwen Stacy, and of course what's been going on in school and everything like that, and he's a little bit run down about that. If I remember correctly as well, I think Gwen Stacy's behaviour kind of takes its toll on Captain George Stacy and his wife's relationship, and I think inevitably Gwen Stacy's mum and dad end up splitting up or something like that because of her, I'm not too sure. Now this is where we get to see Spider-Man's humour really shine through in the comic, because he's actually been looking for a giant bully bald guy to be doing a crime, mainly because Kong, who is big and obviously bald, actually bullied him in school, and that is what he's been through today, and that is why he wants to beat up a criminal looking exactly like him in the street to let off a little steam. And whilst he's there, he actually sees J. Jonah Jameson in the street, and you actually get like this sense that maybe Spider-Man's going to do something to him, and Spider-Man just kind of jumps away saying, "Love the newspaper, keep it up, it's hilarious." And honestly, that I think it's just awesome how Spider-Man can kind of act stupid in front of everyone and not really care about what he's doing. Like, he don't care what anybody thinks. J. Jonah Jameson actually faints on the spot because Obviously, all the blood rushed to his head. He thought that he was going to get beat up or something like that. He came into contact with Spider-Man, a person who he has been writing about in his newspapers and calling him a menace and stuff like that. So he definitely thought that something was going to come out of this, like him getting beat up or something. And just for him to see Spider-Man's reaction definitely took him by surprise and caused him to faint because he was just so overwhelmed. Now, as we've just seen on the previous few pages right there, Ben Urich has been investigating the disappearance of Dr. Octopus, well, Otto Octavius, after the Oscorp explosion. Everyone thought he was dead, but Ben Urich knows better. And of course, we also got a little bit of a reference to Michael Bay from J. Jonah Jameson there, which is also awesome because that just shows how modern the comic is. We also discovered that Otto Octavius went to that house because that was the house that he used to rent out, so that was confirmed for us as well. But as you can see, Ben Urich has been put on the case of Otto Octavius, and of course, we're going to see him later in the next issue. So next issue is Ock Attacks. You saw Peter Parker there sitting outside the office, listening to all this crazy stuff. So, of course, Peter is going to come into contact with Dr. Octopus, and it's going to be awesome. So, guys, the next issue will either be going up today or tomorrow. I'm not quite sure yet. Just depends how busy I am. But what did you guys think of this issue? Let me know it in the comment section below. What are your thoughts on what Gwen Stacy did, pulling a knife on Kong? And of course, your overall thoughts on Dr. Octopus. Let me know in the comment section below. Hit the like button on this video. Hit the subscribe button. I'm going to give this issue a 9 out of 10. Again, it was just awesome. The artwork is just as brilliant as always. I absolutely love the humor from Spider-Man in that fight with that bald guy in the street. And of course, Kong and that little build-up of Kong maybe knowing Spider-Man's identity. But who knows, he might still have his suspicions. But we'll just have to see in the future Ultimate Spider-Man comics. Guys, hit the subscribe button, hit the like button on this video, and I'll see you all in my next video.